Hello guys and welcome to Painting Panzers. Now take yourselves back to 1879, 22nd of January, the Battle of Rorke's Drift. You are one of 150 British troops, give or take, and you've got 3,000 to 4,000 Zulus coming down onto your position. What do you do?
You slovenly soldier.
There's only one thing a British Redcoat can do. Listen to his officers, his colour sergeant, and get ready for what's going to be an absolute epic battle. Now, fortunately, we're in 2026, so we don't have to worry about all of that. Our biggest concern is how the hell are we going to paint Redcoats? And even more of a concern is how the hell are we going to paint 4,000 Zulus? Well, we're going to look at all of that over the course of the next few months. But for now, let's focus on the British side of things. And for me, they're going to be a little bit more important than the Zulus. I'm really sorry to any Zulu that's watching this. I'm not meaning that in any disrespect. I just think there's less of them to paint, so you can add a little bit more detail. So let's get into this video. I think it's going to be a really fun one. I try and make it as accurate as I can do, but I do cock up a few times. But let's have a look what I've done wrong, and let's have a look at how the finished product has ended up. Oh, and on a quick side note, this particular video has been voted in by my patrons. Thanks a lot, guys. If you want to get your hands on any of these miniatures, you can find them at Empress Miniatures. They are an amazing range, and they're all sculpted by Paul Hicks. From my understanding, I'm pretty sure all that entire range is Paul Hicks work. So yeah, really nice work, quality work, and the castings from Empress Miniatures are awesome. So yes, do go check them out. I'll leave a link to their website in the description, or if you're in Australia, you can use Elite Miniatures, which is the company I use to source my Zulu War Brits. Now, I'm painting the historical version, and I should have been painting this chap, Chard, but instead I thought I was painting Bromhead. So there's going to be a little bit of overlapping and a bit of confusion in this video, but don't stress, we will get a finished product at the end of it that's going to look bloody awesome, and you're going to have some amazing redcoats to fight those Zulu warriors. So let's get into this video. Now, as always, I give my model a prime of Tamiya Surface Primer Light Grey. Then I hit the uniform, so that British red tunic with deep red from AK Interactive. Deep red is my absolute go-to for all British red coats. I think they just look absolutely great using this deep red colour. Yeah, just perfect for that British red tunic. Then for his trousers, I'm going to be painting them in dark Prussian blue. And you might be thinking, oh my god, in Zulu they were black. Well, from what I've researched, the trousers were Oxford blue in colour. So we are actually going to lighten this colour up just a little touch, just to make them just a touch lighter. But yeah, obviously it could be a little bit darker depending on how they're washed and whatnot. Then for the webbing, you can paint it all in deck tan if you'd like to, because their webbing did come white. However, they did also stain their webbing on in theatre using tea bags, coffee, and the such. So yeah, it's up to you if you want to paint some of it in like a khaki colour, or if you want to just go with that white, which is a bit more renowned, I suppose. Then German Camo Medium Brown is what I'm going to be using to paint the holster. Now wait a minute, the model's changed again. He's got grey trousers on. Yes, that's correct. I did paint these in a dark grey colour, but upon further research I found out that the trousers are actually Oxford blue. So don't make the same mistake as I did. Now Flat Earth is what I'm going to be painting for his wooden areas on his Martini Henry rifle. So just Google Martini Henry rifle and you'll be able to see how it looks. It's not your sort of traditional looking musket or rifle. So yeah, there's a few little metal areas that we're painting now that are slightly different to your traditional sort of rifle. So I'm going to be using black grey for those metal areas. So there's plenty of little bits of metal on this Martini Henry rifle. So yeah, just pay attention to those. Now I mentioned that they stained their white equipment, so I'm going to be using old wood for that khaki colour. So the helmet I'm going to be painting old wood. Again, from my understanding, at least anyway, those helmets would have been white and then they've been stained. And I'm also doing the same for this guy's webbing. And I'm also using it for the insignia on his cuff there. My understanding is the officer's insignia on their cuff was like a a goldy khaki colour, whereas enlisted was white. I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was. And then Luftwaffe Cam Green is what I'm going to be using to represent the 24th Regiment of Foot. Obviously the ones that we're representing at Rorke's Drift, because I've got the Rorke's Drift set from Warlord Games. Now, German camo black brown is what I'm going to be painting for the iconic Tash. Now, this guy is actually charred. He's not bromhead. I thought it was bromhead when I started painting it, hence the reason he's got those green cuffs. If it was charred, being that engineer, it would be blue. So we will see me fix this up in just a short while. But in the meantime, whilst I'm making loads of mistakes, I'm going to be using no oil and Lafmir medium at a 1:1 ratio to give this figure a really, really nice wash. It's a black wash, but using that thinner just dilutes it nicely, and yeah, it's going to look the bee's knees. Once that's had time to dry, I'm going to be using deep red again. So I'm literally just going over every part of that red tunic again, but leaving the original washed base colour in the recesses. So Paul Hicks' work is just amazing. So there's always little bits of creases and details on the uniform that you need to just leave in that sort of original washed base colour in the recess there, and everything else gets a nice coat of that colour. And you can see already it's popped, but we're going to use deep red and white grey at a 5:1 ratio. So what I mean by that is we're literally adding in just a dot of white. You don't want to add too much, just a little tiny dot, and now we're just going to build up to that brighter colour. So this is where I'm going to start putting some emphasis on those raised edges and just adding a little bit of detail to the uniform. And then I'm going to add another tiny dot to that mixture, and it's going to be quite a lot lighter, but not too light. You don't want it to be too light, look too silly, but you can see here now I'm just scratching the details. This is where you are highlighting, but I do it more as like a layer slash highlight. I know it's very confusing, but that's just the way I roll. You can see I'm just scratching it in, taking my time. Now, if you're going to be painting the correct colour trousers, from my understanding, I'm going to be using dark Prussian blue again, and I'm just giving it that first layer. And you can already see it's quite dark, but Oxford blue is actually slightly lighter than that dark Prussian blue. So we're going to have to add in a little bit of medium blue at a 2:1 ratio, just to lighten it a little bit. I don't want to use white because white would be too harsh. I think medium blue works really well. I think it gives you a really nice Oxford blue colour. But yeah, if there's any Anglo-Zulu War history buffs in watching this video, please let me know if I'm getting these colours all wrong. But from my understanding is I've done a bit of research on this one, which is unusual for some of my videos. Now, for the areas of the uniform that have sort of like brass buttons and such, I'm just going to use gold. I know you should use brass, but gold's just going to stick out a little bit better. It's a bit more brighter as well. I'm just going over the top, and I've painted those areas in khaki too, like I did with the insignia. I'm also adding in that red, iconic red stripe on his blue trousers. As you see there, Paul Hicks, as amazing as ever, has got a lovely little line going down the trousers, so you don't even have to imagine where it would be. He's already done the hard work for you, so you just follow that line with that nice deep red paint. Now for the insignia on this officer's jacket, I'm going to be going over that in khaki. So you see these all nice little bits of detail. God, they really loved their crazy designs, didn't they? You know, you're going to go to war, you're going to look the part, so make sure you're capturing all of those. See, I'm painting the buttons using this step. We've already painted them in gold, so I've missed a step there, but you know what I mean. And then I'm going to use Iraqi sand to give it that sort of like a light sandy gold colour that the officers had. Again, I believe it was an officer thing and the enlisted had white. Please do let me know in the comment section if I've got that wrong. And then Luftwaffe Cam Green is what I'm going to be using for the 24th Regiment of Foot, for those the cuff area there and as well around his neck. And then I'm going to use Luftwaffe Cam Green and white grey just at a 2:1 ratio, and I'm just going to lighten it down just ever so slightly, and then just add in a line on each side of that cuff there, and then just a nice line along the top of the collar there. Now for those white areas, we're going to be going over them in deck 10. So you can see that I've got a strap going to this guy's water bottle, on this officer's water bottle. So I'm just going to be giving that nice little line going down. Again, you're just pretty much repainting everything, but leaving that original washed base colour in the recesses. So this bag's got loads and loads of detail, so it's very, very easy to paint. So you just don't want to make sure you're overlapping where the top of the bag is meeting the body. Now here comes the fun part. I'm really making this stuff pop. So I'm going to be using white grey for this, and I'm just going to add in a thick line on one side and a light line on the other, and perhaps meet them in the middle. But you're just trying to simulate curves and little bends and folds in those straps, as you would normally get with a bag and such. So just bear that in mind when you're doing this. And just a little tiny bit on your brush and just scratch it in. Take your time, don't rush. You're not having to paint 5,000 of these guys. When it's Zulus, obviously a little bit different. So for those stained areas, we're going to be going over them in old wood. So obviously with his helmet here, we're going to be going over that in old wood. Lovely detail in the helmet as always. You can tell I'm a bit of a Paul Hicks fanboy. Who isn't at this scale? So yeah, make sure you're giving credit to his work by not painting over all those beautiful bits of detail. And then old wood and stone grey at a 1:1 ratio, and you can see here that I'm just scratching it in. I always like to make that point known. I go on about it all the time, but it is a really important thing. It's very easy to get carried away, put a massive blob of paint on your brush, and then you look at it and go, God damn it, I've really messed this up. So just a little tiny scratch. If you do make a mistake, quickly apply some water to the area and you should save it. Then flat earth is what I'm going to be using for the wood again, but this time I'm just scratching it in, as I've said just many times. But you want to try and simulate wood grains if you can. Crazy sounding, I know. If you're in a rush, you're not going to be doing this, but it's a very quick method. Honestly, there's not much behind having to do this. And doing the same but with flat earth and orange brown. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just lightening that flat earth up. I'm making it a bit brighter, I should say, actually, with that orange. And I'm really trying to give this sort of like a new wood look to it. So nice little scratches in there. And this rifle is really going to pop because the final stage is to give it orange brown. And this is where we really just see this wooden area come to life. And again, tiny little bit on the tip of that brush and just scratch it in. Honestly, this process takes a matter of minutes and you'll have a really cool looking rifle at the end of it. And with that done, I'm going to head and use black grey. And again, you're pretty much repainting everything on there again, but leaving that original wash base colour in the recesses. So just take your time. Don't want to mess up that wood that you've just painted too. So sorry about the focus gone out a bit there. And then black grey and basalt grey at a 2:1 ratio is what we're going to be using. And this is where we start wanting to really emphasize those raised areas and the bits of area on the rifle, the metal areas of the rifle that we want the eye to be drawn to. You don't want to go too crazy because we are going to do a final highlight, and this is literally for those raised areas. You can see I'm just giving a bit on the trigger, a little bit on each side of this part of the rifle and this safety there, and then yeah, just along the top of the barrel and each of those clips there. Now for the skin tone, I'm going to be using Light Flesh from AK Interactive. Lovely set, but again, any sort of Caucasian skin tone paint would work absolutely perfectly for the Redcoats at Rorke's Drift. And then I'm going to use Flesh Wash once that paint's dried from Vallejo. It's a pinky red wash. You can be quite generous with it too, you don't have to be too careful with it. Just use a nice old pointy brush so you don't get it all over your model. And whilst that wash is drying, go over that pistol holster with German camo medium brown, following the same principles as what we've already discussed many times in this video. And then once you've done that, add in some orange brown at that 2:1 ratio. So you want more orange brown than you do, more medium brown than you do orange brown. So you've got 2 parts medium brown and 1 part orange brown. And this is where you just make that leathery holster come to life with that orange hint to it. Now for the face, I'm going back over it with Light Flesh, and you can see that I've painted on the nose. I'm going to go along the eye socket, down the cheek, connect up to the chin there, paint the ear on, and yeah, just you're not being too careful here. Just try not to paint within the eye sockets, and then use Light Flesh and Highlight Flesh at a 2:1 ratio, and start reducing the amount that you paint. So I'm just painting the nose there, painting underneath the eye socket and the cheek, but not connecting the chin, the top of the eyebrows and the ear. And repeat this process, so you go with a 1:1 ratio and reduce the amount of paint you're putting on. But once you've done that, add some base flesh to the eye sockets. Probably not as much as I've done here. I went a bit OTT with the base flesh. I kind of regret it. But at this point I'd already pretty much painted the face, so I really couldn't be arsed going over it again. I know it's terrible. And once that's dry, use flesh wash again, but a very light coat. This is more of a glaze now, so a very light coating of this flesh wash over the top of it, and just making sure that you're not going too crazy where you can have a pool of red skin or something like that. And then finally, for his mustache, what a killer mustache he's got as well, I'm going to use chocolate brown, so that as well as his hair as well. And that is my Bromhead partially completed, but we're going to have a look at what he actually is meant to look like. So he's meant to look like this. He's not bloody Bromhead, he's charred. He's meant to have a engineer's cuff colour, so that's the blue. He's meant to have a different type of trousers from the reference photos that I've seen. I don't actually know what material it is, but it's more of like a khaki colour. So yes, I've completely ballsed up my post where I said, oh look at me, I've completed Bromhead. No, it wasn't. It was charred and he was in the wrong type of uniform. So yeah, we fixed him up. He looks bloody awesome and he can join the rest of my Zulu War figures. Not too many, I must admit, but yeah, we're getting there and the Zulus are coming up next. So if you've enjoyed this, give this video a big thumbs up and like. If you love the Anglo-Zulu War period as well, like I do, check out some of the amazing channels like the History Chap and Redcoat History. They are awesome. They've got some amazing stuff on the Anglo-Zulu War. But yes, I would recommend listening to either of those. They are awesome. So if you've enjoyed this video, please do leave me a comment below and subscribe if you haven't to the channel. That would really go such a long way in growing the channel. I really want to get to 20k by the end of the year, so help me achieve that goal if you can. Thank you so much. Now a special mention goes out to those Panzer Aces, Field Marshals, Patreons and YouTube channel members. God, there's a lot of you guys. Specifically Patrick, Oscar, James, Panzer Jim, Lack of Foresight Gaming, Mike, Mikey, Eric, Rothgar, Ian, Adam, Rob and Alan. You guys are all champions. Thank you so much. Alright guys, I'm going to leave it here. Don't forget to leave me a comment below, and until then I will catch you at the next one.